How's it going, guys? Striker Crossing here. Hope you had a good new year. It's 2014, so I'm going to do that obligatory thing of doing a top 10. Okay, it's going to focus on games, top 10 video games of 2013. It's been a great year for games. There's been a ton of AAA titles, a ton of indie games that have caught the attention of critics. Obviously, the PS4 and Xbox One came out at the end of the year, so it's been a good year. Now, I have to preface this and say I don't play a lot of PC games aside from MMOs and football simulators. I know, criminal, right? Criminal. So I have missed playing some of the big indie games of this year. Stuff like Gone Home, The Stanley Parable, Outlast, Papers, Please, etc, etc. I've watched Let's Plays on them, but I just don't tend to download them because I'm on a laptop and I have to play on my bed. I have everything else set up in my room, so I just have no room for a PC. And it's pretty uncomfortable playing. I mean, sometimes I sit for hours playing an MMO and my leg's dead. So, I mean, definition of first world problems, right? Can't find a comfy place to play PC games. And I just can't justify buying indie games that are unfinished. There's so many games that I just released in beta or alpha now. It's like, finish the fucking game and then I'll buy it. So I just can't justify buying it and sitting for hours and getting a dead leg. You know what I mean? Poor old me. With that in mind then, here are my top 10 games of 2013. Starting off with number 10! The start of my top 10 is Luigi's Mansion 2. Now, 2013 was supposed to be the year of Luigi, where Nintendo focused on the perennial Player 2 character. The good old green one. I loved the original GameCube version. I've always wanted a sequel, and we finally got it like 10 years later or something. I mean, the premise is ridiculous. It's pretty Ghostbusters-esque. You just go around hoovering up ghosts in mansions, whilst also collecting puzzle pieces, you know, standard Mario collectible kind of things. The stereoscopic 3D of the 3DS just made all the characters pop, made the environments look amazing. It also contributed to some lovely depth of the design of the levels. And, I mean, the Luigi character himself, just, the facial expressions were amazing. I mean, it deserves an Oscar. If video game characters can get Oscars, Luigi deserves an Oscar for Luigi's Mansion 2. But yeah, it's just a hell of a lot of fun, and I absolutely adored it. Number 9 is Dead Rising 3. I know it's only just come out for the Xbox One, but it's in my top 10 games of 2013. The sheer amount of carnage you can cause on screen is a good demonstration of the Xbox One's tech. I mean, it looks incredible. Zombies, body parts, blood flying everywhere. The original launch trailer made it look a little bit more serious at E3, but it's just as over the top as usual. I think you can create something like 350 combo weapons, you know, ranging from a dildo gun to the one that everyone's seen with the hammer and the chainsaw at either side. I wasn't a massive fan of the previous Dead Risings because of the time limit. I felt it like absolute. Well, obviously it was there to restrict you, but I mean, with a game like that, you want to like explore and mess around, but with the time limit, you didn't have a lot of opportunity to do that. And in Dead Rising 3, it gives you the option to play with the time limit on or the time limit off. So obviously I played with it off, and it can just mess around as much as you want. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. If I was to liken it to something, I'd say like a slightly more serious Saints Row with zombies. Number 8 is going to go to the Tomb Raider reboot. There's a lot of people that complain that it doesn't play like the old games, but I think it was probably necessary for a modern audience. I mean, looking back to the old Tomb Raiders, you're just running around tombs, you're doing your business, and then suddenly, dinosaurs! Suddenly, skeletons. I mean, that's awesome. That is awesome to me. I mean, would I have complained if the new Tomb Raider was like that? Absolutely not. But with the new modern brown, grey, dreary shooters like Call of Duty and Battlefield, that audience would absolutely piss all over something as silly as that. And I felt like the sort of darker, grittier story was a bit of a pandering to that kind of audience, but I mean, it's good. It's good. It's a personal origin story that I very much enjoyed. I mean, I do not have a problem with it whatsoever. I think it was a great game. Obviously, it's in my top 10 games, so duh. Another thing is that it plays quite a bit like Uncharted, which is a franchise I absolutely adore. So, I mean, it doesn't play too much like it. It plays sort of like it. So, I mean, just a sprinkling is good enough for me. And the exploration and the graphics are gorgeous. Bringing out a PS4 and Xbox One remake, might get it, but I mean it's just gonna be the same game and it was just slightly prettier. But yeah, it was a good game and definitely worth check out if you missed it on last gen and check it out on this gen. Number 7! Oh! Number 7 is Pikmin 3. It was my first complete playthrough on this channel. Looking back on it now, it's pretty shocking. It's another GameCube era title that Nintendo brought back in 2013. Another sequel, almost a decade apart. You basically play as 3 separate space explorers that are crash landed on a planet and need to get the ship back up and running. Very similar to the previous games, nothing surprising there. It is Nintendo, they like to basically rejig their games. And you quickly encounter the creatures known as Pikmin. I don't know, look a little bit like carrots. That's what they've always like resembled to me. And you assemble massive armies, battling these huge monsters, collecting fruit to survive, collecting ship parts on this vast, colourful, beautiful HD world. Going back to the grey and brown shooters, they don't utilise HD because obviously there's not enough colour to really pop. But in Nintendo games, you can always count on colour, and that's why I love them. Pikmin 3, absolutely no different, full of colour, amazing. They fixed some of the problems of the previous games like the camera, and using the Wii U gamepad to track your movement, track where you've been, is a good feature, and it's absolutely a must-have Wii U title. Weird and quirky games often go under the radar and unnoticed. Pikmin, I think, is no different, but it deserves a much wider audience, and it's upsetting to me that it doesn't have that wider audience. Number 6! I realised halfway through the video that I should have been like, displaying the games, maybe. Shit me. Number 6, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. Now, we already had the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD remake for the Wii U, and that is one of my favourite games of all time. My personal opinion, one of the best games ever made. But I'm not putting it in this top 10 list because, it came out 10 years ago. So Legend of Zelda takes the familiar world of Link to the past and reimagines it through the lens of some of the best sort of Nintendo 3DS stereoscopic 3D visuals that you'll see on that system. With those impressive visuals plus the new puzzles, I mean the puzzles are perfect. It's a little easier than, some of the older Zeldas, but they are incredibly entertaining. You got a revised item collection system, you got the unique way you travel across walls, stuff like that. And I like that the game gets straight into it. I mean, you're playing on a handheld system. Usually, it's either pick it up, have a quick blast, or only a couple of hours of play. Because, it's so close to your face that it can be a bit painful to the eyes. But yeah, it's a very good pick up and play sort of Zelda game. And the way it's returned to open world exploration, I love that. Love that. It is definitely in my top 5 Zeldas of all time now. I mean, it's a great game. You should pick it up if you have a 3DS. Number 5! Okay, bringing up the midway point of this list. And I think it's only at the midway point because I haven't completely finished the game yet. And it has only just been released, and it got released at the same time as the Xbox One and PS4, so it was just like in the midst of all that excitement. Super Mario 3D World is the absolute best reason to own a Wii U, and it should be a system seller. If people played this game on demos somewhere, they would absolutely buy a Wii U. It's such a fun game. Absolutely and wholly about fun. It's both a great single player experience, and they've managed to make a Mario game incredible with multiple people. I mean, I don't know how they've done it. They've just absolutely made the perfect multiplayer game. I absolutely love that each stage is absolutely unique. I mean, Nintendo's creative juices have been pumped into this one. They're peppered with like one-off great ideas like the cloning cherries, the wearable cannons, stuff that other developers would have based entire games on. They're just in one stage of Mario 3D World, and that to me is incredible. It is astoundingly creative. I absolutely love the cat suit, which is the main new power-up. I mean, it's adorable as hell, it's colourful as hell, it's all about fun. And Nintendo, you can give yourself a massive pat on the back for Super Mario 3D World. Good job, boys. Number 4. Number 4 is GTA 5. What? Only number 4? Yeah, only number 4. I ain't scared. I ain't scared. Please don't lynch me. You know all the plaudits given out to this game. It definitely deserves it. It's an incredible feat of a game, especially on the aging 360 and PS3 hardware. It takes open world what you thought it could be and it just multiplies it by 1,000%. There is an absolutely insane amount of things to do in GTA 5. But to me, it is the single player sort of character experience that makes it special. It has a completely fun, ridiculous, also quite dramatic at times script. I mean, the characters are absolutely unique as hell. Trevor, we all love a bit of Trevor. Introduction to Trevor was unforgettable. It's going to be an unforgettable video game moment for the rest of time. It had a great story, it had refreshing missions. The heists gave you sort of slightly customizable missions, I guess. You could do it your own way. I mean, it's pretty badass. Now, why have I put it at number 4? The multiplayer. While it spawned some incredibly fun Let's Plays online, it doesn't feel half as fun if you're playing alone. Combine that with the fact that it had a terrible start and it took weeks for Rockstar to sort the servers out and turn more of the game modes on. They still haven't added heists or a large amount of stuff that was advertised on the trailers. They've only just added customizable missions. It was incredibly disappointing for me as an experience, and it got boring very, very quickly. So as a result, I kind of quit it and sold it to get money towards my Xbox One. But despite the disappointments, it's definitely a 9.5 out of 10 game. Extremely good. Alright, we're on to the top 3. Here's number 3. Kick off my top 3, I've got Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Now, I waited until the Xbox One came out to get it, and I'm glad I did. The open world is glorious, it's gorgeous, and you can get lost for days just doing the endless amount of side activities, exploring each little island on that huge map, and collecting everything in the game. There are few things as liberating as just cruising in your pirate ship, you know, sailing the Caribbean seas, plundering and pillaging till your heart's content. Ubisoft picked an engaging moment of history for this Assassin's Creed. You felt as if you lived this pirate era. I felt as if Edward was a great character as well. I mean, he became an assassin by questionable means again, obviously killing an assassin, stealing his stuff, but eventually he was accepted into the Assassin Order, unlike Codder, where it was just like, I'm gonna become an assassin. Do I hope that they use Edward again? Maybe. Maybe 2 pirate games would be overkill, and this is just extremely special and unique in this one. I don't know. All I know is that I absolutely loved it. The modern day story progresses Desmond's as well, and obviously the character you are playing as in the modern day definitely going to be used again. It was easily my favourite Xbox One launch title. I now liked it better than GTA 5, so meh. Number 2. Number 2 is Pokemon X and Y. I played the Y version. X and Y is a Pokemon fan's dream. Never before have battles and the Pokemon and the trainers looked so good. And that's thanks to the power of the 3DS. I mean, you look back now on the old Pokemon games and you don't want to go back to that now. You do not want to go back to the little 2D sprites in the overworld, because Pokemon X and Y just brought everything to life. It added so many great innovations. You finally got to customize your trainer. Woo! You got Pokemon Me. You got much better social and internet usage. You've got super training, much easier IV breeding, which is good for people that don't want to spend hours fucking grinding. In many ways, X and Y success is unification. I mean, each Pokemon game was obviously added to something new, but X and Y just ties these all together, and it does such a good job. Everything down to the UI is so much better. It just makes it feel like the most sort of connected and social Pokemon game yet. There's a lack of new Pokemon, but I think the ones that I have added are all pretty damn awesome, and I'm a massive fan of the new type. I use Sylveon quite a lot in X and Y, and my Sylveon kicked ass. In the end, Pokemon is about the journey, and it was definitely a great journey. Lots of cool gym leaders. Elite Four is pretty good. It's pretty silly story, even by Pokemon standards. But I can't complain too much about it, though. It did feel like it was over pretty quickly, and there's not a lot to do post-game this time. But nevertheless, it was a fantastic game. If you've played Pokemon before, absolutely pick it up. And if you've never played Pokemon before, it is a great starting point. So do it! It's come to this, guys. It's come to this. The #1 game of 2013. It is, of course, The Last of Us. It is beautiful! The tension created in the fight for your life gameplay in that goddamn game is second to none. That works hand in hand with an edge of your seat story. I mean, the story is just, it's beautiful, but it's so stressful as well. And it's unashamedly so. It makes you stress. It doesn't care about the player. It cares about the characters on the screen, and it makes the player stress with the characters. I mean, the narrative constantly thrusts the players into dire situations, just ugly situations that like perfectly illustrate what would probably happen in an apocalyptic style world where decisions are based on life and death and no one cares about anyone. The whole experience is a dark one. Obviously, apart from the bond that springs up between the main characters, Joel and Ellie. Joel and Ellie. Jesus Christ. I mean, two of the most believable, two of the most captivating characters in a video game of all time. Not just 2013, of all time. It spawns so many great moments. I mean, talk about Trevor emerging on Grand Theft Auto 5. How about the whole school level on The Last of Us? When you're walking through the school and you just see the giraffes just appear and walk so peacefully in this apocalyptic world, and you just see monkeys running about in that school. It's crazy. What The Last of Us is a game that it has just released a DLC, but the game itself was absolutely complete. You didn't need anything added to it, and I love that. No microtransactions, no DLC bullshit. The Last of Us was a complete, cohesive, fully realised game in which it was like the pinnacle of intelligent and expertly crafted games of all time, and absolutely my favourite game of 2013. On top of that incredible single player experience, it had a fantastic multiplayer where it sort of it wasn't, again, stress. You had to keep your survivors alive. You had to loot enough stuff, get enough items in your multiplayer gameplay to have the ability to feed and keep your survivors alive. I could go on about it for ages, but I won't. It was the best game of 2013, without a doubt. Alright guys, thanks for watching. That was my top 10 of 2013. What have yours been? Do you agree with my placement on GTA 5 on the list? I know some of you out there might have a lot of indie games, but as I mentioned at the beginning, I haven't played any, so can't do it myself. This is just my opinion. So what is yours? Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you had a great new year. 2013 was a great one for video games. I think 2014 is going to be pretty goddamn good once we get past the first few months and the new generation exclusives start getting released. There's a couple of MMOs on my radar as well on PC, such as WildStar, stuff like that. But it's going to be good. Anyway, have a great new year. Thanks for watching.